Episode of the States Up podcast. I'm your host, Brant Freeman. Now, again, normally on the podcast, we visit with the current student athletes here at Texas State. Our guest last week, Colton Benson with Bobcat men's basketball. Great story to tell. Colton, the first-year transfer out of Army, played his first year of college basketball in West Point, New York. Had a chance to talk to him about his experiences in basic training, his transfer back home to Texas, of course, originally from Austin. His mom, Vicky, a great high school basketball coach at Westlake, so a great story to tell. And so, again, usually we like to tell those stories on this podcast, but in this one this week, we're visiting with a former student athlete turned coach, and now he's back home. That is Barrick Nealy, who is a tremendous quarterback, arguably the best in the history of Bobcat football, 2003 through 2005, led Texas State to a Southland title in that senior year of 05, and then a deep playoff run all the way to the FCS 1AA National Semifinals. After his playing days, got into playing professional football, played in the Canadian League, and then he got back into coaching, most recently at UTEP, but now he's back home in San Marcos as a running backs coach at Texas State. We welcome him on to the podcast now. Barrick, again, welcome back to San Marcos. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
It's so great, to be talking with you, Barrick. You and I, had a chance to, interact with one another back in the day in the mid-2000s, when you were playing, and a little bit recently as well during your time as a coach at UTEP, as we kind of reflected on, that great 05 team. Isn't it crazy for you to think that, it was 20 years ago now that you were back here playing?
Yes, it's very surreal right now. It's been a long time. Something I've always dreamed of, coming back to this place. It's a place my wife and I, our kids, they love this place. So yeah, I'm just super grateful for Coach Kenny for making it happen.
Let's kind of go through that process a bit here, Barrick. And Coach Kenny's done a great job of reaching out to those that have been a part of the success of this program before, trying to reestablish that here, which they certainly did this past season, but namely bringing back David Bailiff, as a part of the coaching staff, and he didn't want to stop there, knew of the names that kind of made Texas State football what it was back in the day, and certainly your name is at the top of that list. So, but of course you were at UTEP, on their coaching staff, previously. So take me through the process of what it took to get you from El Paso back to San Marcos.
Well, funny story, I honestly had an opportunity to come back with Spavital's staff that last year. I just felt like things weren't aligned. So I decided, not to take the job. And, unfortunately, out in El Paso, Dana Demo was let go in December. And I knew I would be okay, but I wasn't expecting a call from Coach Kenny. I had been talking to multiple schools about an opportunity. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from Coach Kenny. And, obviously I had been tracking all the excitement around the team and the city and the university all year. And I knew, right away that he could have called. I mean, I knew of 5 people personally that wanted this job. So for him to stand on the table for me and want me to come back and be a part of this, that was really all I needed to hear. It was a no-brainer. Just a lot of excitement. Great time to be a Bobcat. And I expressed to him, I just want to help in any way that I can and be a small part of what he's doing. everything was aligned, and the icing on the cake was, David Bailiff having an office 2 doors down. I mean, I walked in the building day one and walked by his office and looked to my left, and it was a special feeling. I was overjoyed to see him, and it's amazing, man. I mean, we talk every morning. I mean, it's an unbelievable feeling.
Obviously, you were invested in UTEP. That was your job. You were on the staff there. You put a lot of time and equity at El Paso. But I can't help but think that you kept an eye on what was happening here, after your playing days and during your time coaching at UTEP, and you see from afar what was going on this past season. The program has done some good things since your playing days, but it's really been kind of pockets of success and not sustained. And at this level, had yet to go to a bowl game. They had, they've been bowl eligible, but had yet to go. And then
Exactly.
The previous couple regimes just couldn't quite get it done. But then Coach Kenny comes in and kind of takes things by storm. That opening win at Baylor really set the stage for what was a special season. Wound up going 7-5 in the regular season, getting that elusive bowl invite, and then winning that bowl game emphatically over Rice in front of a great crowd in Dallas. For you, from afar, before you took this job, what did you make of the season you were witnessing with what Texas State did?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, I was truly the team's number one fan. I probably caught every game. If it wasn't live, I went back and caught the replay. Although I was out far west, there was a sense of, there was something in the air. I knew the kind of, the caliber of talent that Coach Kenny had brought in. A lot of those players I knew just from recruiting. So I knew personally he was putting together something special. So I felt like it was important for me to kind of see it. I kind of wanted to see it unfold, not knowing what was going to take place in December. But this has always been a special place. I think we all know that. I thought it truly started with the quarterback play. I mean, they went out and got a big-time player. I think that's something that you have to do when building a program. And then all the other little pieces started to come together. I was kind of watching the ticker. That defensive lineman committed. That linebacker, that dude can play. I was trying to get him to UTEP. So that started to unfold. And it didn't take long, man, to kind of sit back. I would tell my wife, Tiffany, and we talk all the time, like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen here at UTEP, but we got to find a way, after our bowl game to get to their bowl game. So there was a lot of excitement, and it was kind of trickling out west, I played with some phenomenal guys that are truly diehard Bobcats. And they live all around the state. We talk all the time. So there was a sense of pride. I had plenty of 3-way calls and Zoom calls with groups of guys, and the excitement was just unbelievable. But that's a testament to Coach Kenny and building a championship culture in such a short period of time. And he has a great staff too, man. All those guys, man, Leftwich and Shoe. Those guys offensively, I've been knowing those guys, so I knew what I was coming into. But just I hadn't been here long, but just to kind of see how they work day to day, the bonds, the friendship. There's not a lot of egos walking through this building, man. These guys know how to work together, and I'm excited to be a small part of it, man.
You're the running backs coach here at Texas State, and we'll get to that in a second. Certainly, the position you're most familiar with, yours, quarterback, and I mentioned that again, arguably the best quarterback in the history, of this program. And I know that you're humbled when you hear that, but you look at what happened this past year with TJ Finley, and this was one of the great quarterback seasons ever. at Texas State, up there with yours, back in your day, and certainly in '05. And as we record this podcast, TJ on social media just announcing he's returning this coming year. You said you would watch the games if you could live. If not, go back and watch the replay. So you had a chance to watch and evaluate TJ Finley. What were your impressions of what he did this past season?
First and foremost, he's a big guy. I mean, I mean, 250 pounds. I mean, I was 215, 220. So to see a guy moving around in a pocket like that and deliver the football at that size is pretty phenomenal. I thought he did a great job. I mean, year one, to me, it seems like he bought in fairly quickly and, made the most of his opportunities. We had some games in there that some opportunities that we let slip by. But, when you're bringing in a lot of transfers, new players year one, people don't realize how hard it is to kind of shift the culture. So for me, on the outside looking in, I was blown away because that doesn't happen overnight. I was at a program where it took us 4 years to kind of get it going in the right direction. So that just doesn't happen in our profession often. But I thought TJ did a hell of a job.
As I mentioned, you're the running backs coach, and another player that had announced he's coming back did so a little bit earlier than TJ did. Ishmael Mahdi, a guy that was heavily under-recruited out of high school, goes to Houston Christian and lights it up, with the Huskies, decides to transfer, comes to Texas State, and kind of took not only this program by storm, but he was among the nation leaders in all-purpose yards, tremendous returner, a great running back, and just a guy with a ball in his hands, can do so much. How excited are you to get the chance to work with him this coming year?
Well, the saying, man, great players make great coaches, and it's not the other way around. I've gotten to know him a little bit. We talk quite often, past couple weeks or so. From what I hear, he's a phenomenal person. Everyone sees him on Saturdays lighting up the scoreboard and bursting through the line of scrimmage and all these big plays. But off the field, I hear he's first class. And I could tell from my first conversation with him that he has a great head on his shoulders. He's a team player, and he wants to improve and wants to get better. I'm just so thankful and fortunate that he's going to give me that opportunity to coach him. So I'm excited to hit the ground running with Ish. Like you said, tremendous talent, but he's even a greater person. So I can't wait to meet him. I hadn't met him in person yet. Our guys report on the 14th, so I look forward to that.
Barrick, I watched this past season unfold, and obviously the success was so fun to witness, and the atmospheres at all the games were incredible. Bobcat fans, the first 2 games of the year on the road, not far trips to go, Waco, San Antonio, but they showed out to both Baylor and UTSA, and then the home games, the biggest average attendance in stadium history. And then the game itself in Dallas, the First Responder Bowl, you shattered the previous bowl record at that stadium by almost 12,000 fans, drew more fans at that game than SMU did at any home game this past year. And I see the trophy presentation and fans storm the field. I could not help but think back to the 05 year when you guys, beat Sam Houston and to win the Southland Championship game, when you beat Georgia Southern in that wild come from behind win in the opening round, when you beat Cal Poly in the next round. Fans were storming the field every game. Did you have a similar reaction as I did? Did that take you back a bit to your days?
Most definitely. I think it really truly hit me after the game. Getting on social media, seeing all the pictures and different people, friends and strangers, people I didn't even know. Just seeing all the pictures that they were taking and videos, and I thought to myself, wow, it kind of gave me goosebumps. But you know what? This university, this community, I kept thinking to myself, we deserve that. We deserve it. But I think it's something that we cannot take for granted. Next year is not promised. I tell people all the time, didn't it feel good? Packing up the family, hitting the road to Dallas, and all the little TikTok videos, and all that's great. But Coach Kenny wants to improve on that. He understands and understands that we have to do more. It's going to take everybody involved, from donors to boosters to students. It was a great feeling, but we definitely want to elevate that. We want that feeling every single year. We want to win a conference championship, and that was truly the selling point to coming home. I mean, we sat down and Coach Kenny said, "Barrick, if you thought we had a great year this past season," he said, "just wait. We're going to win a conference championship." So, super excited.
You mentioned the road trip, to Dallas and the social media response, and I'm seeing, Chase Watson. I'm seeing Thaddeus Watkins. Yes. I'm seeing Damian Williams, David Simmons, who I keep in touch with. Some of those guys from the 05 team. Some of the more recent players, Sean Rutherford, Mike Rakpo, Brady McBride, Tyler Vitt. So I see what playing at Texas State really meant to the former student athletes here, and what their connection is to the university all these years later. Just how special is that bond between a student athlete and this university, even when you're done playing?
Man, I tell people all the time, it's a really large networking community, but the community itself is super small. Right, it's tight knit. Like, we're really brothers. Like, whether you play with me in 05 or with Sean, or with even prior to me with Spurgeon, with Michael Langford, the old championship teams. I mean, we're truly a family. We truly love one another, willing to help each other. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, we're standing on each other's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And that was my message to those guys this year. Like, just know, there's a lot of men that came before you that, worked hard and went out and battled, blood, sweat, tears, and you're reaping the benefits of not only that, but your hard work. And that's what it's about, man. It's about leaving a legacy, helping the guys before you and after you. So we have a good group of people, really good players that are good people, that really want to be involved, really want to help. I think that's what's special about Texas State. It's kind of a cliche around the country. People use that term all the time, networking and this, but it's something special about our tight-knit community. It truly is. But, like I said, we deserve it. Man, we got a cool president. President Danfus he's all over the place. I met him this past weekend, and it wasn't even 20 minutes after our conversation. He's sending me text messages back and forth and videos of his family, and it's just it's a special place. So we've been through a lot as a university. We've been through a lot, but tough times don't last. Tough people do, and this is just part of the next phase. And I'm grateful for Don Coryell, who's doing an unbelievable job. Unbelievable. And when I say that, I really mean it, because I know. And like I said, making the hiring of Coach Kenny and the staff, it's just we're headed in the right direction, man, and it's super exciting. I'm glad to be a part of it, man.
Yeah, the leadership is in an incredible position right now. The three guys you just mentioned, right? Those are the front men, of the university. Your athletic director, your president, your head football coach, and all three are all, moving in the same direction, right now. And you said something earlier about, reaping the benefits. And, I know I keep referencing the '05 year, but it's so important to the history of this program. And I firmly believe this, that I don't think Texas State University and Texas State football athletics would be where it is today without the success of the '05 team. For one thing, during that playoff run, you're on national TV, every week. So the brand is getting out there. The success that you had, I think really caught the attention of people that, Texas State, they could do something really special there. And it was 3 years later, another Southland Championship was won. 3 years after that was the invite to the FBS, in the WAC, and then that later turned to the Sun Belt. And I don't think any of those steps happened without the '05 team and what they did. Do you believe that to be true?
Well, first off, thank you for those kind words. You know what? I think if you asked a lot of my teammates, I think we truly understand that, yeah, maybe we had something to do with it, but I don't think it truly started with us. I think there were a lot of great teams prior to us. I just think, we all came in at the right time. The name change was going on. Coach Bailiff had just come back, and similar to what Coach Kenny is doing right now, Coach Bailiff was doing that several years ago. If you look back, he brought in some transfers that kind of got the program shifted and on the right track. And I like to say that we had something to do with it, but it was a process. It was a process. Many great players, many great coaches before us, good people, and we were just part of the journey, man.
I could sit here and probably go through all 14 games you played in '05, right? Wow. From the opener against Delta State, right, to the game at Texas A&M, where if a couple of calls go your way, maybe that game ends up differently.
We can talk about all the games, but Nicholls State. I could not beat Nicholls State for the life of me, for whatever reason. Right, we had some rough matches with those guys down in Thibodaux, but
the only thing I'll say about that game, Barrick, was the timekeeper, I think, really impacted the game there in Thibodaux. So I'm going to leave it at that.
All right, we'll leave
it at that, right? But getting back to, we're not going to go through all 14 games. I was kind of kidding there, but there were so many memorable games, right? I mentioned Delta State. It was a Division II team. You didn't exactly blow them out of the water. People were wondering, well, maybe this will be a down year, and really it kind of lit a spark, in the team. I thought, the game again at A&M, you blew out McNeese at home, would have been a perennial, Southland Conference powerhouse. The win against Sam in overtime to win the title, the playoff game against Georgia Southern. For you, those 14 games, all the moments that came in between. One, what did that season mean to you personally? And two, what was your favorite moment?
What did that season mean to me? It was a tremendous accomplishment. We had a saying back then that we live for each other. We had a lot of seniors on that team, and I really wanted it to be special for my teammates. I felt like, myself, Fred Evans, we had a few guys that knew we may have an opportunity to play a little bit of football after this. But we want to leave a legacy, right? There's so many players that didn't get the recognition. You didn't hear their names. You didn't hear the Randy Mosier name being called on Saturday. The Luke Horters, the Thomas Care Stories of the world, the Walter Musgroves. He was a hell of a defensive back, by the way. But I truly wanted the success for my teammates, and we truly lived for each other. So we wanted the year to be special. One of the most memorable moments was probably that Georgia Southern game. They came out and jumped on us. I just remember I never felt like we were going to lose the game. I believe there was like a 3rd and 25 or something, and Damon Williams ran a little post route to convert, and we were off and running. But the guys believed in me, I believed in them, and we never thought we would lose that game. So yeah, that was probably a special moment. Outside of going to A&M, although we lost that game, people say we caught them at a bad time with the Hurricanes, and it took us a half to kind of get going. But, you know, playing in that stadium in front of all those fans was pretty special too. We gave them a run for their money.
You were an incredible player, Barrick, obviously, as you kind of chronicle, your career. And then, you go undrafted, but you get a chance to go in NFL, training camps, and your career winds up in Canada. You're there for a while. I think you ended up playing most of your career in Calgary. Once your playing days were over, why did you decide to stay in football? For some guys, when they hang up the shoulder pads, it's off to, getting in the business world or just something else other than the game. But you decided to remain in football. Why was that?
Well, honestly, it wasn't by choice. I mean, I'm a firm believer that God kind of orders your steps. So my biggest thing was, people forget, I left school and didn't have a degree. So this is all part of my testimony. I mean, I left school after the fall in 2005. So in that aspect, I didn't have a plan. And after playing my last year in Canada, we, as a family, we just felt like, you know what? I've had my fun with this. I was a part of a couple of Grey Cup teams, and we really wanted to get back to San Marcos and get our family back home, and that's what we did. Didn't really have a plan. When I look back on it now, it wasn't the smartest idea. But my wife is amazing. We figured it out, with family and friends, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I received a phone call one day. I pick up the phone, and the first thing I hear is, write down my credit card number, go back and finish school. You want to guess who that guy was on the other side of that call, Brent?
Man, Barrick, I'm rattling my brain right now. David Bailiff, of course it was.
David Bailiff, man. So I needed 20 hours to kind of finish my degree, and I knocked it out, got it done. Coach Bailiff always told me, you need to be coaching. You need to coach. You need to coach. I said, I don't want to coach. I wanted to get off into the business world and do some other things. But shortly after finishing that degree, opportunities started coming my way. And like I said, this is my testimony to my players. I tell them my story all the time. And I was probably going to be hired by Tom Herman. It was right after that, his first fall in Austin. He was going to hire me January 1. Dana Dimel called me December 15th. And the convenient thing would have been to stay here locally and commute up to Austin. But as a family, we say, you know what, I felt like Dana really needed me out there to start something from the bottom up. And looking back on it, it was the best decision I ever made. I went in as player development. Every year he put more and more on my plate. It went from player personnel director to director of recruiting to special assistant to the head coach. And, and shortly after that, all of a sudden I'm getting calls from Jeff Traylor. The first thing he said was, I didn't know Jeff. He said, I keep hearing your name out here. I want you to come work for me. So I ended up leaving UTEP and coming back to work for him year one in San Antonio. I was only there for a month because Dimel called me back and said, I need you to coach. And Jeff Traylor said, Barrick, if you were my son, I would tell him to do it. Like, you have to do it. You can always come back off the field, but you need to give it a shot to see if you love it. And that's what I did. I went back to UTEP, coached running backs, and here I am today, man. Mm-hmm. So it's been truly a journey. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I've learned a lot. I've been around a lot of good people. I think that's the key. I've always been around good people. And it started way back in high school. Going to the University of Houston, playing for Dana Demo, who I've been working for the past 6 years, and making the transition to San Marcos and Bailiff and Trailer and, now GJ, and it's amazing to see how all those guys are connected. Coach Trailer and GJ are. So it's just, I tell my kids all the time, just make sure you're around good people. If you take care of people, treat people the way you want to be treated, life has a funny way of taking care of you. But it's been a great journey, man. It's been pretty sweet.
That is an incredible touch on it there, Barrick, and so well said as well, and it's remarkable how your careers come full circle, from the height of your playing career in St. Marcos now back, as a part of the coaching staff as this program really starts to take off. Last one I got for you, and I kind of mentioned at the beginning, and I want to, add the caveat that you're an extremely humble person. But when you do hear people reference you as, one of the greatest players in the history of the program, and that 05 year being as special as it was, and then you see the way the fans reacted when you announced you're coming back, and you see the GOAT emojis, social media about it. What does it mean to you to be held in such high regard? And I know you're going to thank your teammates and your coaches and the great people around you just referenced. I know that's where this is going, but what does it mean to you when you see people hold you as high as they do when it relates to Texas State?
Oh, man. You got chills, man. A tear almost came down. It means the world. All my life, man, we've, it hasn't always been easy. A young kid out of inner city Dallas, and I always wanted to make my mom and my grandmother proud. And the way this community embraced me as a young player, it's something I'll never forget. It means a lot. Now I have the opportunity to share something with my kids. To be able to say, look what Daddy did. That's important to me. And not just my kids. The kids in this community. That's something I'm proud of. So to see all of that, I'm truly humble. It means a lot. But I hope it encourages somebody else. All my life I was told, you can't do this. You can't do that. And here I am today. I'm just grateful. Thankful.
Barrett, my broadcasting career started in 2003, the same year you were first at Texas State.
Yeah.
And so I've had a chance to cover your coaching career, follow you beyond your days at Texas State, and to see you accomplish everything that you had is so special. You have a lot of people that are proud of you. I'm one of them. I'm so happy that life has brought you back to St. Marcos and Texas State. Cannot wait to see kind of hit the ground running here now that you're back. And welcome back home, Barrick. And congratulations on what's been a tremendous life and career for you to this point.
Thank you, man. Sorry about the tears, man. It's surreal, man. I love this place, and I appreciate Coach Kenny so much, man, for making it happen for me. And I'm gonna put my best foot forward every single day and work hard. So I'm excited and can't wait to get going.
Well, that will wrap up what has been a very special edition of the Stateside Podcast. Cannot thank Barrick enough for joining us and really pouring his heart and soul into the podcast here today. Just a great man, and so happy to have him back as a part of the Texas State football family. Barrick, again, thanks so much, and I look forward to more conversations in the future.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
You got it. Well, that again, Barrick Nealy, our guest on the States Up podcast. For Barrick, I'm Brant Freeman, proudly reminding you, as always, to keep your states up, and we'll see you next time.